Discover 9 sinister and spine-chilling true horror stories from Haunted Appalachia revealed. Sarah's heart raced as she drove into Misty Hollow, the fog rolling in thick white folds around her old sedan. The town loomed ahead, a cluster of crumbling houses shrouded in whispers. She had heard the rumors, tales of rituals and vanishing children whispered around the campfires and cracked sidewalks. But she was determined to start fresh with her daughter, Lily. A new beginning. "Mom! Look!" Lily squealed, pointing at a patch of trees that seemed to curl and twist unnaturally, as if the woods themselves were alive. "Can we explore?" Sarah's eyes flicked to the towering figures of the mountains, looming like silent sentinels. A shiver ran down her spine. Even the trees felt oppressive. They settled into their creaky old house, the wallpaper peeling like dead skin. The first night, Sarah lay awake, straining against the whispering dark, only to hear the faint echo of laughter, a child's laughter floating in on the night air. It sent chills skittering down her back. Surely, it was just her imagination. As days passed, the townsfolk greeted her with smiles that didn't quite reach their eyes. "Welcome," they called, but the tension hung thick. So many stories they had buried, threads woven into the very fabric of Misty Hollow. Faces in faded photographs stared back at her from the crooked frames lining her walls, oddly familiar yet hauntingly elusive. She brushed away her unease. Stress and loneliness could play tricks on the mind. Lily thrived in the wild, her laughter harmonizing with the forest. But soon, the girl returned home with crayon drawings. Dark figures with twisted bodies lingered in the corners of the page, little stick arms stretching towards the sky. "Look, Mom! My friend!" Lily exclaimed, eyes shining. Panic twisted Sarah's gut. There was no friend in those woods, only shadows. Before she could gather her thoughts, Sarah stumbled upon whispered conversations in town, hinting at a mayor who silenced parents stricken with grief, children disappearing without a trace. The fear sank into her bones, unrelenting. She confronted the neighbors, only to receive nervous glances and vague reassurances. "Everything is fine here," they said, but a tension slithered beneath their words, an undercurrent of something darker. One morning, fear plunged into reality as panic twisted Sarah's insides. Lily was gone. The house was silent, too silent. She couldn't breathe as desperation clawed at her. The frantic search led her into the dense woods where the sun barely filtered through the thick branches, panic rising like bile in her throat. "Lily!" she screamed, voice echoing off the trees. Every rustle made her heart race. Shadows moved. The neighbor stepped closer, that familiar smile starting to feel sinister, eyes glinting with something unnameable. And then she heard it, the fading giggle of her daughter, carried on the wind. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to escape this cursed place. With every step deeper into the woods, Sarah felt the world shift, the line between friend and foe confusingly blurred. How could she trust anyone in a town where darkness thrived and laughter turned hollow? How far would she go to save her child? Time was running out. Her heart hammered in her chest as Sarah plunged deeper into the trees. "Lily!" Panic twisted her voice, turning it into a desperate cry that echoed eerily around her. The air felt thick, almost electric, as if the woods were alive, breathing with her fear. Branches closed in, scratching against her arms like the claws of unseen creatures. Shadows danced just beyond her periphery, twisting and elongating with each step. She squinted into the dark underbrush, her pulse racing. The laughter echoed again, this time closer, mocking. "Lily!" she gasped, urgency propelling her forward. As she stumbled through the undergrowth, every rustle made her heart skip. Were they just leaves? Or something more? She could almost feel the eyes of the trees upon her, a thousand whispers threading through the air, roots pulling her deeper into the earth's secrets. She could taste the bitterness of dread, thick on her tongue. Then she froze. There in the clearing was an old swing set, rusted and forlorn, creaking faintly despite the stillness. It swayed gently, as if a child had just vacated it. Lily! She shouted, voice cracking, searching. Stepping closer, she spotted tiny footprints in the mud, but the tracks didn't lead away. They led deeper into the woods, zigzagging as if the child had danced excitedly away from the swing, not a care in the world. A chill swept through her. How had her daughter gotten here? A sudden rustle made her jump. Turning, she saw the neighbor, Mr. Hargrove, stepping cautiously from the shadows, his smile now a strained line. "You shouldn't be out here, Sarah," he whispered, voice almost lost in the rustling leaves. "It's not safe, but I have to find her." She struggled to keep the edge of fear out of her voice. Lily was here. I heard her. He stepped closer, gaze darting to the trees that loomed like giants. There was an urgency in his eyes that frightened her. "You don't understand, do you? The woods take children. They get lost in them. They don't come back." Despair flooded Sarah's veins. "What do you mean?" Panic choked her, making the air feel thick. He looked around, as if he could see the shadows lurking. "Trust me. The town has its secrets. The people, they don't speak out of fear. Just get back to the house. You're not prepared for what's out there." But those words didn't reach her. "I can't leave her. I want tea." She pushed past him, fear sharpening her resolve. The laughter danced in the wind again, faint but clear. It was a siren-esque call, weaving through the trees, echoing around her. Whatever had taken hold of the town grasped at her heart, and she couldn't let go. Damar. Hargrove's voice fell away as anguish surged, drowning out logic. She ran farther into the darkness, the trees twisting and leaning as if trying to block her path. With every step, the laughter grew louder, teasing, beckoning. "This way, Mommy. Come play." Lilting and carefree, it was the mocking echo of innocence lost, but as Sarah neared the sound, the atmosphere thickened. The woods pressed in, growing more sinister. She stumbled onto a small clearing, and her breath caught in her throat. There, among the shadows, stood figures, children. Their faces were gaunt, shadows cast across their eyes. They turned in unison, gazes heavy with knowing, mouths stitched into eerie smiles. "Lily?" Sarah gasped, dread marring her hope. The children whispered, "Join us." In that moment, the weight of her choices crashed down. She felt the pull of the darkness stretch toward her, as if it wished to envelop her completely. Now the question clawed at her mind: what had she truly awakened in Misty Hollow? The laughter morphed, darkening into something grotesque. Panic surged again, urging her to run, but a small hand reached out from the group. "Mommy, help me." But was it really Lily? What had the woods taken from her, and what would they demand in return? With her heart hammering louder, Sarah had to decide: chase the haunting laugh that called her deeper, or flee the encroaching shadows from the past. The choice weighed heavy as the forest whispered secrets only the lost could understand. The children stood still, their eyes glimmering like shards of glass in the dim light. Shadows pooled around them, dark and curling like smoke, and Sarah felt a heavy weight settle deep in her belly. "Join us," their voices tangled in the air, wrapping around her. "We're playing." But she didn't feel like playing. Her pulse pounded in her ears, drowning out their whispers, yet the tiny hand reaching out was familiar, and a harsh light flickered within her. It looked like Lily. It smelled like her, sweet, like the cherry blossoms from their yard. Desperation clawed at her throat. "Lily, is that you?" Sarah's voice trembled as she took a step closer. The other children swayed, their movements a mirrored dance, unsettling and hypnotic. "Mommy." The voice chimed again, but the tone shifted, twisting like a knife in her gut. "Help us. We're lost." Fear gripped her like a vice. They all looked lost, but what had they lost? What is this?" she stammered, glancing at the ghostly children. Their eyes were wide yet vacant, grasping at something just out of reach. The laughter bubbled up again, darker now, resonating through the hollow trunks of the trees. "Join us," the haunting tune echoed, disregard for her ties, her love for Lily. The other children began to move towards her, stepping closer like a tide that wouldn't retreat, heart racing, adrenaline surged through her, snapping her out of their trance. "No! Stay back!" Sarah shouted, scrambling backward, hands raised in instinctive protection. But the shadows twisted, and the laughter warped into something terrifying, a cacophony of giggles that drowned out her own breath. She turned and bolted deeper into the woods, branches clawing at her skin, dry leaves crunching underfoot like brittle bones. The air thickened, dragging at her, slowing her down. No! She had to move, she had to find Lily. Running through the eerie labyrinth of trees, every corner held a new dread. She stumbled into a gnarled thicket where the laughter coalesced into a chilling harmony. The darkness drummed against her mind, pushing her thoughts to murky depths. What was this place? A howl pierced the night, primal and echoing, causing her to freeze. Behind her, the swarm of pale figures poured forth, twirling and twinkling in the moonlight, glowing with an unholy vitality. "Play with us," they cried in sweet, taunting harmony. Fear strangled her throat. The energy from the group pulsed, pulling her closer, but she fought against it, pressing deeper into her own instinct to survive. Suddenly, an image flickered in her mind, a way out, a path that left no trace of these specters behind. She spun on her heel, heart pounding how an artist's brush frantically swipes across a canvas, desperate to escape. Just ahead, the trees parted in a thin line, an opening to the unknown. Could it lead to safety, or deeper into despair? She sprinted through the threshold, and everything fell silent. Staring into the abyss beyond, she squinted at what lay ahead, a massive stone artifact, overgrown with vines and moss. Symbols carved deep into the surface glowed faintly, illuminating the darkness as if beckoning her. A sudden chill washed over her, and she hesitated. The whispers began again, soft and seductive, swirling around her ears. "You can find her here, just one step." Gripped by indecision, she stood at the precipice of choice again. What lessons did this stone hold? What sacrifices were necessary? Would the woods bury her if she made the wrong choice? The laughter echoed back, relentless, pulling her closer. The shadows stretched and writhed, awaiting her next move. Sarah had to choose: run and leave everything she loved behind, or step into the shadows of the unknown, and hope it brought her to her daughter. As uncertainty clouded her mind, something glimmered in the corner of her eye, an unmistakable flash of blonde hair. Lily? She called, heart aching with both fear and hope. What awaited her if she crossed that threshold? The answer lingered just out of reach, shrouded in the thickening mists. The moment her voice echoed into the thick, suffocating air, the whispers swelled. "Join us," they morphed into an ominous chant, circling Sarah, wrapping tighter around her like rusted chains. Her heart thudded violently, as if it might break free from her chest and flee. Just when she thought she could breathe, her instincts kicked in again. Echoes of laughter slithered through the trees, twisting into maddening cacophonies. Every fiber of her being screamed at her to turn and run, but there was that glint of hair again, blonde against the darkness, bright as a beacon. "Lily!" she shouted, desperation tearing through her. She stepped closer to the stone, drawn to its glow, but the voices took on a sharper edge, cackling like wild demons. "You have to play." The stone pulsed, illuminating the symbols carved into its surface. They twisted and turned under her gaze, coming alive, and for a moment, Sarah's fear was replaced with an unsettling sense of understanding. Were these markings a guide? A trap? A fear-laden breath rattled from her lungs, and she swayed, almost entranced. The shadows crowded her, an insatiable wave, whispering promises of clarity, of reunion. "It's a game," they sang. "You just need to find her." "Find us, no," she yelled, shaking her head violently, snapping herself from their grasp. She stumbled back, heart racing, desperation clawing at her throat. A shuddering determination filled her as she turned back towards the darkness she fled from. The shadows reacted, like a ravenous beast denied its meal. The air thickened, the laughter halted abruptly. In the silence, the forest felt almost alive, watching, waiting. She could hear her heartbeat echoing louder than any word. It was now or never. But when she ran, the ground shifted beneath her feet. The map of the forest had changed. Shadows stretched and loomed, trees twisted and contorted grotesquely. Every step felt like it carried her deeper into a nightmare. Where was Lily? Had she crossed paths yet? Or was this darkness preparing to swallow them both whole? Suddenly, an eerie wail pierced the night. It felt like the very soul of the woods crying out. Her skin prickled with cold sweat, and the shadows surged forward, a tide of pale faces, desperate fingers reaching for her. "Mommy!" The voice slipped through the air like a serpent, both familiar and alien, laced with the momentary echo of innocence lost. "Lily!" Sarah screamed, but the answer lay drowned in the rising chorus of the other children, their joy twisted into infernal delight. "Join us!" They cried, laughter dipping into sinister tones, and now she understood they weren't just lost, they were trapped. A single glance backward revealed their hollow eyes, pleading yet predatory. In their gaze, she saw that her daughter was among them, her candor distorted. "Mommy, I'm playing." "No!" Sarah shouted, retreating further, her mind raced with thoughts of rescue and despair. Each second felt like a lifetime trapped beneath the weight of unyielding dread. The stone-esque glow flickered dimly, almost taunting her. What's the price for a child's freedom? It seemed to whisper. She felt it binding her, thick roots stretching out from the artifact, wrapping around her ankles. "Find us and play." Fury ignited deep in her chest. She couldn't just join them, she wouldn't. Without looking back, she made her choice. "I'll find you, Lily. I will save you." As she lunged forward, the shadows howled, their laughter twisting into cries of rage. The forest erupted with raw energy, collapsing around her in a chaotic rush. The air screamed, branches cracked loudly, and the world distorted. Then everything went black. As darkness enveloped her like a shroud, fragments of thought flickered. Would she return to the light? Was there a way back? In the pitch silence, just before she lost consciousness, a chilling voice whispered again, "Welcome to the game." What had she awakened? What had she agreed to? Darkness clung to Sarah like a wet blanket, heavy and stifling. She was aware of faint echoes thrumming through the void, whispers that seemed to drift around her like shadows in the night. They were familiar voices, yet ominous in nature, tugging at her sanity. "You must wake up. You must choose." With a sudden jolt, she gasped for air, lungs burning. Her eyes flipped open, blinking against the hazy expanse swarming with swirling shadows. She lay on the forest floor, damp earth beneath her, and the chill of the night air clashed with her warm breath. Before her, the immense stone loomed, a towering sentinel in the dark, its glow pulsating like a heartbeat. The symbols shimmered, beckoning her with silent promises. She tried to sit up, but a searing pain shot through her ankle as the roots tightened further, a living chain anchoring her in place. "Lily!" she cried, the name cut through the stillness like a knife. The forest shifted, shadows undulating like waves. From the depths of darkness, a faint giggle rang out, a sound devoid of innocence. It sent ripples of fear down her spine. "Look for me, Mommy." It echoed, a cruel imitation of her daughter's familiar voice, growing closer, ringing in her ears. Sarah's heart thundered. "Where are you? Join us." A chorus of children's voices chimed in unison, the laughter twisting into a nightmarish harmony that reverberated around her. Their giggles morphed into something darker, more sinister, like clinking chains dragging through the forest, a lullaby turned curse. With desperation growing like a beast within her, she strained against the roots, the raw desperation fueling her strength. "What do I have to do?" "Play our game," the air seemed to whisper, thick with malice. You want your child? They want to play. As the agony in her ankle flared, the memories flitted through her mind, moments of laughter, of cake and candles, of Lily running in the park. She thought of her daughter's bright eyes and mischievous giggles. But they quickly turned into memories stained with horror, each one replaced by that taunting laughter that surrounded her now, unrelenting. Lose yourself to find her, the whispers floated in again, swirling around her, tantalizing her as the roots constricted further. No. I want tea. She squeezed her eyes shut, willing herself to think clearly amidst the chaos. She had fought too hard to let darkness devour her. She thought again of Lily, deep in that suffocating world of shadows. Mommy, help me. Fear rushed through Sarah like a wildfire, cracking like thunder in her ears. She jerked violently, the roots digging deeper. Okay. I'll play. I'll do whatever it takes. The words slipped out in desperation, and the darkness swallowed them whole. Silence followed, thick and heavy. A heartbeat skipped. In an instant, the roots loosened, and she was free. But the sense of relief was short-lived. Shadows shivered with anticipation. Figures began to materialize around her, other children flickering images of pure malice, eyes wide with dark glee. They leered, arms outstretched, beckoning her closer. Come play with us. Panic surged within her, the overwhelming urge to flee. Skirmishes of rush and dread tore through her as she staggered backward. Lily. Their laughter exploded into the void around her, a haunting reminder of all she had to lose. The children drifted forward, their faces shifting as they morphed into twisted imitations of her daughter, mocking her with each step. Mommy, we want to play. But the shadows weren't just hungry for play, they thirsted for her soul. Suddenly, a piercing cry shattered the night, slicing through all mirth. Mommy, help. The voice was agonized, desperate. Driven by an instinct deeper than dread, Sarah turned and sprinted into the encroaching darkness, the laughter fading. She didn't know where her feet would lead her, but every beat of her heart screamed for her daughter. Lily. I'm coming. But the shadows surged forward, attempting to reclaim their prize. The trees became a maze, blocking her path and distorting her senses. Every rustle felt like a whisper, urging her to succumb. Then, an unseen force knocked her down, sending her sprawling into the cold forest floor again. Breathless, panic surged through her veins. It wasn't over. Darkness pressed against her chest, thick and heavy. And then, just as her vision began to blur, the whispers rose from below, promising something dreadful. What will you sacrifice for your child's freedom? Sarah's heart sank. She was left with a choice, a harrowing price that would forever change her. What would she sacrifice? And would it be enough to save Lily? The forest thickened around Sarah, twining branches clawing at her, each step forward feeling like wading through quicksand. Shadows danced and flickered, taunting her with glimpses of innocence buried beneath the corrupted laughter of the children. Fear wrapped around her throat, squeezing tighter, making it hard to breathe. Lily. She gasped, her voice a ragged whisper swallowed by the overwhelming darkness. She stumbled, feeling the cold earth beneath her palms, a grim reminder she was still on the forest floor, still entangled in this nightmare. She pushed herself up, every muscle screaming in protest. She could almost feel Lily's warmth, could almost reach out and pull her back from whatever horrific abyss awaited. Please, just let me find her. Ahead, the trees shifted, their gnarled limbs bending unnaturally, creating tunnels that beckoned her deeper into the heart of the forest. The air thickened, weighed down with a stench of decaying leaves and something sweetly rotten like candy coated in blood. Shadows whispered seductive promises, wrapping around her mind, reminding her of the stakes of her game. Find your daughter, they hissed, or lose everything. With a shuddering breath, Sarah forced herself forward, the path glowing faintly beneath the eerie light of the stone that now pulsed like a heartbeat. I will find her. As she ventured deeper, the landscape twisted and warped. The trees began to shift, forming grotesque faces. They leered, mocking, their bark-like skin splitting to reveal gaping mouths that promised doom. "Mommy," the echoes taunted, layered and lush with malice. "Come play with us," each word dripped with malice. The laughter clawed at Sarah, filling her head with visions of Lily trapped, her little hands reaching out for help, begging to escape from these fiends disguised as children. "Mommy! Don't leave me!" That voice sent needles of despair stabbing through Sarah's heart. She sprinted forward, calling out futilely in hopes her words might pierce the oppressive blanket of darkness. Each step seemed to push her deeper into madness as the shadows warped around her, whispers crescendoing into a chaotic symphony. Suddenly, the laughter intensified, vibrating the very air. Figures emerged from the shadows, twisted forms of children, their eyes dark voids filled with longing and hunger. They lunged forward, grasping hands seeking to tether her to the horror that enveloped them. "Play with us!" they cried, voices layered in a cacophony of delight and sinister intent. "No! Get away!" Panic clawed at her throat. She turned to flee, but the path behind her twisted, becoming a maze of despair, each turn taunting her progress. In her frantic rush, she stumbled again. The forest floor rose beneath her, roots shooting out, curling around her legs, anchoring her in place. Shadows felt like icy fingers tracing her spine, sending her heart racing into panic. "What do you want?" she screamed. "Everything, for your child." The whisper was like ice cracking, sharp and brutal against her skin. "What must I give?" Her voice trembled, her sanity fraying with each rasping breath. "What will you sacrifice?" echoed the chorus, now suffused with glee. Sarah's mind raced. The thought of losing Lily lit a fire within her, an entrapment that ignited her spirit and flooded her with resolve. She thought of the moments stolen, the hugs, the laughter, the soft goodnight kisses. With her heart pounding, she shouted into the void, "I will do anything. Just tell me." Silence hung in the air. Then slowly, a finger of light pierced through the blanket of shadows, illuminating a small figure standing in the distance. "Mommy!" It was Lily, her smile innocent, eyes bright against the looming darkness. But something didn't feel right. Sarah's gut twisted as she felt an encroaching dread. "Lily, come to me." But Lily remained in place, the shadows flickering around her, dancing like voracious flames. "Mommy, you have to make a choice now." The ground shook. Reality blurred, time itself seemed to unravel in this dark abyss. "Not much time left," the children hissed. Gathering around, anticipation swirling like a thunderstorm on the horizon, would Sarah's choice save her daughter? Or would the darkness claim them both? "What will you choose?" "Mommy, you have to make a choice now." The words reverberated in Sarah's mind, drowning out everything else. The bright beam illuminated Lily, her tousled hair framed by shadows that throbbed hungrily. The children's laughter hushed, replaced by a sinister whisper that crawled beneath Sarah's skin. "Choose," they chanted, a chilling echo that filled the void around her. Her heart raced as she looked between the gathering shadows and her daughter. Lily's smile, once so innocent, now seemed strained, almost as if it were a mask. "What are they? What do you want?" A child with hollow eyes stepped forward, swaying as if in rhythm with the tremors beneath her feet. "We want what you promised. What will you sacrifice for your child?" Lily's eyes were wide, pleading, but the shadows snaked closer to her, drawing her in. Sarah felt the world tilting. Every instinct urged her to reach for her daughter, but a creeping realization forged a pit in her stomach. To claim Lily meant giving in to the chilling demands of the forest and its tainted inhabitants. "Mommy!" Lily's voice pierced through the fog, growing desperate. "Please hurry." The shadows responded with a thunderous roar, shifting like a living mass, undulating in anticipation. "What will it be, Sarah? The time is slipping away." She glanced back at Lily, then at the grinning children, figures of once human form now grotesquely altered. Their joy felt twisted, like a reflection in funhouse mirrors, distorting happiness into something monstrous. Anything. She shouted, voice cracking. I'll do anything to save her. The ground trembled harder, and for a moment, the shadows seemed to pause in disbelief before laughter erupted, wild and unhinged. Anything. The children echoed. Then show us your love. Mommy, help me. Lily's voice came through the noise, and Sarah's heart lurched. She couldn't bear to lose her, not now. But what if anything meant losing herself? Sacrifice your fear, the shadows hissed in unison. Let go of your memories. No. I want to forget or we take her. The laughter soured and grew sinister, coiling into a dark veil around the forest. A wave of panic suffocated her as memories flashed through her mind the first time Lily said mommy, the little fingers wrapped around hers, the night sounds of lullabies. Do it. The shadows shrieked, and the ground shook beneath her. Let go. Grab her now. Mommy, please. A split second stretched into eternity. Dark visions clawed at her sanity. Was she ready to erase those precious moments? What kind of mother would that make her? No. She screamed, desperation spilling forth. I'll never choose, then we take both. The shadows surged forward, cold and relentless. Fingers of dark energy grasped at her ankles, dragging her down. Sarah's heart pounded so hard it echoed in her ears. Lily! She cried, wrenching free, feet slipping in the grasping darkness. She could barely see her daughter, who was now enveloped by the swirling shadows, her small figure flickering like a flame in a tempest. With sheer determination, Sarah broke through the chains of fear tightening around her. I will protect my daughter. As the shadows convulsed with rage, Sarah surged toward Lily. The pulsing stone in her pocket grew warm, flaring alive. You can't have her. You think I would trade memories for terror? What? No. You must choose. The voices wailed, frantically wrestling against her resolve, Sarah Dove. The instant she touched Lily, a blinding light enveloped them both. The forest screamed in agony, tumultuous and furious, shadows unraveling in a cacophony of rage. With Lily cradled against her, the world around began to splinter. But something within Sarah jolted to life. The memories she hoped to protect, the love she refused to sacrifice, burned fiercely, unyielding against the nightmare. Bright light washed over them, pushing the darkness back. But would it be enough? As reality wavered and the shadows ebbed, one last whisper reached her. You can't escape forever, your choice will always haunt you. And then, silence. Sarah opened her eyes, clutching Lily tightly. They stood at the forest's edge, the night sky stretched above them, stars twinkling innocently. Yet the air felt thick, heavy with an unsettling promise. Mommy? Lily's voice was small, eyes wide and innocent again, but not without doubting apprehension. What just happened? Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She felt the shadows lingering, memories teetering on the edge of her mind, flickering like a dying ember. There was no guarantee of their safety, no assurance that the darkness had truly receded. What have I done? As they turned to leave, a figure stood in the distance, looming and silent, a dark silhouette against the starry night. And just beyond, laughter echoed chillingly through the trees. What other choices lay ahead? What would come for them next? The figure in the distance appeared more solid as Sarah shielded Lily with her body. Heart racing, she squinted against the darkness, adrenaline coursing through her veins. The laughter resonated through the air, dancing on the edge of sanity, twisting her stomach into knots. Mommy, who is that? Lily whispered. Her small voice trembled, mirroring the fear thrumming in Sarah. I don't know, sweetheart, she replied, eyes darting back and forth. The silhouette shifted slightly, and the sound of laughter morphed into a deep, wheezing chuckle that seemed to awaken the very shadows that had tried to consume them. Run! The urgency of her own voice tugged at her instincts. With a gentle tug, she urged Lily to move, but her legs felt as if they had taken root in the soil. "Mommy?" Lily's voice dropped to a bare whisper, saturated with dread. "What if it comes for us? I won't let it." Sarah affirmed, but the words lacked conviction. She pressed forward, pulling Lily along, the sound of their footsteps muffled by unseen dread. But the dark figure seemed to glide towards them, faster than the eye could follow. Shadows stretched out like icy fingers, reaching for them. "You can't escape, the choice has already been made." It rasped, voice echoing from a place beyond human comprehension. With every step they took, the air thickened, swirling with an unseen energy that filled Sarah's lungs with the stench of decay. She pushed forward, her mind racing if they could reach the safety of their home, maybe, just maybe Mommy. Lily screamed. A blinding pain lanced through Sarah's side, the shadows pierced her like daggers. She staggered but never lost hold of Lily. "Keep going. Don't look back." The laughter roared, a monstrous cacophony that rattled her bones. The ground trembled as if the forest itself was a living entity, enraged by their flight. "You cannot outrun what you have become." The trees leaned in, their branches clawing at her hair, her skin. Sarah's breaths came in short gasps. Fear coiled tightly in her chest. The comforting thoughts of home, warm lights, Lily's laughter slipped further from her grasp, consumed by darkness. Suddenly, a deep, guttural roar erupted behind them, shaking the ground. They dared not turn to see what it was. "Run, Mommy!" Lily pleaded, tugging on her hand. They stumbled into a clearing, moonlight spilling over them like a lifeline. For a moment, the laughter faded as the shadows recoiled from the light. But the relief was short-lived. "Stand in the light if you wish." The voice sneered, mocking them. "But no, it will not save you." As if to prove it, tendrils of darkness crept from the edges, slinking like snakes, curling and weaving through the brilliance of the moonlight. Sarah felt her heart plummet. There was no escape. What had she sacrificed? "Stay close, Lily." She felt overwhelming panic. The edges of her mind began to fray. "I'm scared." Lily sobbed, clinging to her mother. "Look at me, my love. Just don't look away." She cradled Lily's face in her trembling hands, searching her daughter's fearful eyes for courage. "Don't let them take you." With a sudden jolt, the shadows surged forward, the howl of the forest surrounding them like a wild beast. "What will you do now?" The figure's voice rumbled, mocking their plight, an echoing chorus of dread. Just then, a flash of warmth pulsed in Sarah's pocket, the stone. The earlier warmth surged back to life, igniting a spark of hope in her. "Lily." She gripped her daughter's hand tightly, her resolve hardening. "We're not done. Whatever it takes, we'll fight." But as the shadows closed in, thick and suffocating, the dark figure loomed near, ready to reclaim what it considered its own. "Your choices will always have a cost," it intoned ominously, and somewhere deep within the forest, a voice whispered, "What will you lose next?" The ground shook beneath their feet, the chilling laughter echoed in their ears as they stood at the precipice of an unimaginable confrontation. Desperation clawed at Sarah's mind. Were they truly trapped, or was there a way to finally break free? The energy crackled, tension mounting as they prepared for a fight where love hung desperately in the balance. What else could darkness take from them? The shadows surged closer, tangible and hungry, a wall of darkness that dared them to defy it. Sarah could feel its malevolence. It rippled through the air and wrapped around her throat like a noose, constricting her breath. "Mommy, please." Lily's voice was a threadbare whisper, her eyes wide and luminous under the moonlight. "Hold on to me, Lily. Don't let go." Sarah choked out, her heart pounding like a war drum in her chest. The stone nestled in her pocket pulsed with soft warmth, urging her to call upon its power. But what if it wasn't enough? She had no idea how to wield it. The dark figure laughed again, a sound that echoed with the chime of broken dreams. You cling to false hope. You will learn what truly matters when confronted with loss. Sweat beaded on Sarah's forehead as panic threatened to take complete control. She dared not look away from Lily, knowing that doing so could mean losing her daughter to the abyss. We'll find a way out, she shouted, desperation drenching her voice. As they stood at the edge of terror, the shadows lunged. Sarah felt the ground quake, every wretched tendril reaching for them, trying to envelope them like a thick fog. The fear screamed in her veins. Fight! She urged herself, gripping Lily tighter as if her embrace was a shield against the impending doom. With a sudden burst of courage, she fished the stone from her pocket, the glossy surface slick against her clammy palm. Stay back! She yelled, raising the stone as if it were a weapon. The warmth intensified, expanding like a sunbeam piercing the gloom. The shadows hissed, recoiling. The figure's face twisted in rage, eyes blazing like molten coal. You think you can control it? You may summon light, but the darkness feeds on your fears. Then we feed it with strength, Sarah lashed back, feeling the power of the stone surge within her. I want to let you take her. In that moment, she pushed the stone toward the looming darkness. A radiant pulse of light erupted from it, brilliant and blinding, illuminating the surrounding trees and casting the shadows into retreat. For a heartbeat, hope bloomed in her chest, a wildflower brightly blooming through a crack in stone. Mommy! Lily squeaked, fear crystallizing in her expression, but the shadowy figure snarled, rallying the darkness. You cannot hide in the light forever. It will betray you. The ground shook again as a wind howled through the clearing, swirling leaves and debris like a tornado around them. The radiant glow of the stone faltered, flickering as if it were a candle struggling against a storm. Hold it steady, Sarah urged fiercely, leaning into the stone's energy. The laughter returned, chaotic and terrifying, drowning them in dread. What else will you sacrifice to stay in the light? Sarah felt the air grow cold, an icy despair creeping through her heart. We've already lost so much. She screamed, fury and desperation igniting within her. I will not lose you, Lily. With that fierce declaration, she concentrated on the stone, pouring her love and determination into it. The light began to swell, bright and bold, pushing the shadows further back, but the darkness was relentless. It clung to the edges of the clearing, probing, searching for a way to penetrate their sanctuary. Even the strongest lights will cast shadows. What will you choose to sacrifice? It asked, its voice oozing with poisonous temptation. A vision flickered through Sarah's mind, images of moments she cherished, the laughter, the warmth of a family dinner, the comfort of home. No, she whispered, the weight of that potential loss crashing down like a wave. Mommy? Lily's voice pulled her back from the brink of despair. A decision loomed before her, dark and heavy. Would she be willing to pay any price to protect Lily, even if it meant giving up herself? With a sudden rush of clarity, the shadows surged again. What will you sacrifice? It pressed into her mind, like a vice around her brain. As the darkness coiled and writhed, she steeled herself, eyes narrowed and resolute. I'll do anything. I will not lose you. But was she ready to face the implications of that choice? The wind howled ferociously around them, the shadows lurking just out of reach, whispering promises of doom. In that precarious moment, with their fates like tightly wound strings, Sarah took a deep breath, bracing for the unknown. What would happen next, as darkness danced ever closer, and the price of their survival loomed on the horizon? The shadows curled like smoke, a living entity demanding to be fed. Sarah felt the cold breath of darkness at her back. She clutched Lily tighter, rage and fear intertwining in her chest, merging into a single resolve. This was the moment. I will not let you take my daughter, she cried, raising the glowing stone high above her head. It pulsed with a vibrant light, radiating warmth that pushed back the suffocating darkness. For a split second, the shadows hesitated, squirming away from the blinding beacon. It was a moment of strength, fragile yet fierce. "Join us, Mommy," the children's voices chimed, melodic yet sinister. The sweet familiarity of Lily's laughter, twisted and hollow, echoed among the trees. Each sound lanced through her resolve, threatening to shake her. "Remember, child, you did this." A new whisper seeped through, dark and twisted, the same words she kept hearing, festering. Hadn't she called the darkness here, in desperation for her daughter? But Sarah's thoughts cleared in a jolt. "No. I choose the light. I choose love." It surged through her veins, wild and untamed. The stone began to blaze brighter, illuminating the entirety of Misty Hollow, shattering the veil the shadows cast. Curdled laughter turned into howls of fright. As she thrust it forward with every ounce of strength, a path cleared through the dark. Sarah seized the fleeting opportunity, pulling Lily behind her. "This way," she urged, their feet pounding against the soft forest floor. The light expanded, reaching out in tendrils, shredding the darkness. "Run," she urged, voice fierce with a mother's desperation. They sprinted, Lily matching Sarah's frantic pace. The shadows clawed at their heels, desperate to reclaim their prize. Sarah's heart raced, blood rushing in her ears. The light flickered, warning her of the danger, the rhythmic pulse driving her on. "Keep going, sweetheart." But even as they fled, visions of the dark figure loomed behind them, hovering just at the edge of the light. "You will return. The darkness waits for you, and it will always want its due." "Mommy!" Lily screamed, tears brimming in her eyes, uncertainty racking through her. "What is it?" "It's okay, baby. Just keep your eyes on me," Sarah shouted back, her voice fierce even when her heart trembled. They burst into a clearing, bathed in the light from the stone. There, Sarah saw it a glimmer of hope. A thick veil of mist hung over the path leading back towards the edge of the woods, where the familiar outline of their home nestled in the distance, warm and inviting. Suddenly, the shadows crashed against the edge of the light, angry and ravenous. Their howl sent sharp pangs of fear through the air, warning her of the battle they had yet to leave behind. "You can't escape." The voices raged, crescendoing in despair. "You have lost part of yourself. Let us reclaim what belongs to us." But Sarah pushed those thoughts aside. The warmth of Lily next to her turned into the anchor she needed. "Not now. Not ever," she shouted defiantly, now emboldened with purpose. "Trust me, Lily. Hold my hand." The stone pulsed furiously, responding to her fierce determination. With tears streaming down her face, she summoned every ounce of strength left inside. "We will make it. Together." They took a deep breath and ran, hand in hand, bursting through the veil that separated them from the freedom of the night sky. The shadows shrieked, crashing back violently as the light consumed them. An explosion of energy surged around them, enveloping Sarah and Lily. Wind whipped wildly, howling with the conflict behind them. But as they pushed forward, she knew they were breaking free. Just when it seemed darkness would swallow them, they crossed the threshold, and the world fell silent. The heavy mist lifted like a curtain, revealing their yard bathed in silvery moonlight. Sarah collapsed to her knees, pulling Lily close, gasping for breath, heart pounding. They were free. The oppressive weight of the forest lifted, although the specter of choice lingered at the edge of her mind. "Mommy?" Lily whispered, clutching her. "Are we safe now?" The shadows would linger, but she couldn't let her child see the fear that thrummed within. Sarah looked around their home, the warm glow of safety and love beckoned. "For now, we are safe, my love," she whispered, holding her tight. "We will always find the light, no matter how dark it gets." But as she glanced back into the woods, something shifted in the shadows, a flicker of movement. Was that laughter? A creeping certainty settled in her chest, and dread tightened her throat. "Come inside, Lily," she said, voice soft yet firm. They hurried to their home, but the weight of the woods would forever echo in her mind. The long shadows stretched behind them, lurking in the darkness, whispering tales of choices made. Somewhere in the depths of Misty Hollow, she knew the game was far from over. They had escaped, but the price had been steep. And with every heartbeat, she understood this was a battle she would have to fight again, because darkness never truly gives up. As they stepped into their home, a shiver coursed through her. Sarah knew they would have to remain vigilant. They would have to hold on to their memories, they would have to hold on to each other. The door clicked shut, sealing out the night, but the shadows remained hungry. The forest had given its warning, and it wouldn't be long before its hungry cries would rise again. But tonight, they would sleep. Together. Safe. Somewhere in the distance, laughter echoed childish and sweet, forever entwined with shadows. Sarah turned away from the window, squeezing Lily tight. Tomorrow, they'd start fresh again, face whatever came, and reclaim their laughter. With courage flickering like a flame against the night, they settled into the comfort of home, where love defeated darkness once more. For now for a moment that truly matters. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss out on the next heart-pounding stories that lie ahead. Smash that like button like your life depends on it to feed the algorithm and ensure these tales reach those who crave them. Flood the comments with your reactions and wild theories about the ending. Let's keep the conversation alive. And don't wait even one more second to share this with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Stand with us, support the channel, and keep the battle against darkness strong, because together, we can shine a light where it's needed most.